taxes and debt and creating jobs. That's the change we need. Tell President Obama to cut the job-killing debt and support the New Majority Agenda at newmajorityagenda.org.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Feeling lonely this holiday season? Looking for little human interaction? Do you want to feel contact in certain special places?
Then why not go through security at an airport?
The TSA.
TSA agents are ready and standing by to give you a little something extra to feel thankful about this holiday season.
The TSA.
What are you waiting for? I want to check under your testicles.
Spending time with a TSA agent couldn't be easier. Simply book a flight departing from any American airport. When selected for a full body scanner, say no. You'll be pulled aside by a TSA agent, and that's when the fun begins. And you never know who your agent will be. It could be me. Or me. Or even me.
But it's probably gonna be us. Take off your damn shoe.
The TSA. It's our business to touch yours.
Welcome to the Bureau of Womanhood Conformity. Independent thoughts are considered subversive because all must agree with our leader.
When it comes to women, preventative care should include coverage of contraceptive services such as birth control.
You see, if you don't believe government should pay for your birth control, you're not a real woman. Womanhood denied. If you refuse to accept that pregnancy is a punishment, you're denied as well.
I don't want them punished with a baby.
If you don't believe that abortions should be allowed for any reason, if you don't believe in aborting a child for being the wrong gender, and if you don't believe that stay-at-home mothers aren't real workers, you are not a real conformed woman.
His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. His wife has actually never worked a day in her life.
Finally, for your safety, if you oppose mandatory government health care, you will die.
They will be voting to say that women can die on the floor.
These standards and regulations were formed after our glorious victory in the war on women. Thank you for your cooperation and your conformity.
Well, we're moving on now. We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie. Fish don't fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. Yes, indeed, we are back, folks. I must have pressed a button somewhere because that just cut off really quick, like it wasn't supposed to. But, you know, stuff like that happens. This is live talk radio. We are back here on the Rod Eccles Show, and we're getting right into it. A teacher. Well, we'll get into that one later. First of all, voter disdain spreads as fiscal cliff looms. From New Hampshire to Colorado, voter disdain spreads as fiscal cliff debate rages on. This is from Yahoo News. Out of Hooksett, New Hampshire, fear and frustration course through the lunch crowd at Roby's Country Store in Delhi, a popular outpost 500 miles from where Washington is again locked in tense negotiations over taxes and spending as a critical deadline looms. And might I add that Roby's, R-O-B-I-E, apostrophe S, is a little country store in Delhi that is about literally 5 minutes from my home. It is on the river, on the Merrimack River, right at the it's right at the conflux of Main Street and a new bridge that they built in roadway. But yeah, it's if you go back in time, the old Main Street was a small bridge that went right past which Roby's is right there on the river, right next to the original Main Street Bridge, and it's pretty much quintessential northern New England. It is New Hampshire, but people that go there, like Lorraine Cadren, C-A-D-R-E-N, of nearby Manchester, New Hampshire. She says, I'm worried. I'm not sure what's going to come out of Washington next. She's 64. She's unemployed, preoccupied with finding a new job as Christmas approaches. A few tables away, John Feifel, P-F-E-I-F-L-E, he shares Cadren's angst while trying to enjoy his $6.99 chicken parmesan special. He says somebody's got to have some smarts. And he's a 63-year-old business owner. Maybe he can give that 64-year-old unemployed woman a job. Complaining that both President Barack Obama and House Republicans seem willing to allow the nation to go over the fiscal cliff. Now, this is what we hear a lot. Both parties, Obama and Boehner are willing to let the country go over the fiscal cliff because they're so divided. Yet and still, we get surveys and polls that say Americans have a 56% approval rating of Obama, but 27% approval rating of Congress. Now, how is that possible if Americans in general feel that both Obama and Boehner are to blame? Oh, one's to blame more than the other. Is that the case? Yeah. Well, I wonder if they would put Bush in the mix. Do you approve of George Bush today? George W. Bush. They'd probably get a disapproval rating, even though the man hasn't been in office for 4 years. Hasn't had any power for 4 years. Has had nothing to do with what's going on for 4 years. I'm sure Bush would still, well, hell, he's still getting the blame. Now, Feifel says, I have no faith at all they'll do the right thing. And I know there are a lot of people, polls seem to be indicating that, people are saying, yeah, it's okay to tax rich people more because it's been drilled into their heads that rich people are not paying their fair share. And then when you point out exactly what so-called rich people are paying, then you say, well, is that fair? Should they pay more? And if they say yes, well, how much do you think? Now, the funny thing is that most people who think that the rich should pay more, and you ask, well, how much do you think they should pay? You think 30%? 30? Most people will say about 30 to 35% is what rich people should pay. Now, if they say that, if they think that is fair, and believe me, that's not. Nobody should have to give up a third of their income. But if they think that's fair, at 30 or 35%, then how can they possibly want the rich to have their taxes raised? Simply because we have an ignorant populace that doesn't realize how much people pay in taxes. They have no clue. They just go by with what the loud voice says, which is the lamestream media bullhorn Democrat platform. Yes, the lamestream media is the bullhorn for the Democratic Party. And here we are sitting on the verge, the precipice, if you will, of disaster. Total and utter disaster. What do they think and do? Oh, they're trying to affix blame. Look, Republicans just might as well try to do the right thing, because no matter what happens, they're going to get the blame. I mean, I hope you all out there under the sound of my voice, if you're a conservative, I hope you understand and realize this, that no matter what, if Bonnier were to cave, if he were to cave and say, okay, we'll raise rich people's taxes, and the economy still tanks, which it will, they'll find a reason to blame the Republicans. We'll see, Republicans knew all along that low taxes on the rich was bad, but they waited too long to fix it. It's their problem. And if they don't agree to raise taxes and we go over the fiscal cliff, they're going to be blamed again. Well, see, it's because the Republicans wouldn't compromise. Never. Do you ever hear any lamestream media person say, well, they couldn't reach a compromise? They're always saying Republicans won't compromise. In other words, it's code for Republicans just won't get off their damn high horse and come to our side and way of thinking. 100%. That's what they want. That's a compromise to a leftist. You agree with me? That's a compromise. No. Well, we're supposed to meet in the middle. And I know we hear that all the time. And as I tell you, but the left keeps moving the middle farther left. So even if a conservative Republican wanted to meet them in the middle, that middle is no longer where it used to be. I mean, people have brought up the point. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, President John Kennedy, could not secure the nomination of his party today because he's not liberal enough, or he wasn't. I mean, I know Ted Kennedy used to get mad at people. Well, you can't use my brother's name. Well, Ted, it's historical fact. Your brother did this, he did that, he didn't do this, he said this, he didn't say that, but we're not allowed to bring that up? In other words, JFK is only meant to be a figurehead. Forget about the actual truth behind the man. Forget about what he actually stood for, what he actually said, because it's not in line and it's not in cahoots with today's modern liberal democratic socialist party. Not in line at all, because they have moved so far left of it. I mean, even LBJ, President Johnson would be, Lyndon Baines Johnson, he'd be a little surprised and off-put by the leftist Democrats of today. I mean, yes, LBJ wanted a war on poverty, but only because he wanted to be able to control a certain population. This type of overzealous, oversized juggernaut that we call government, it was not in his plans. I dare say that this type of government was not in the plans of FDR, because remember, FDR even said that. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Why don't we, we just call him Bill Clinton. We don't call him WJC. Notice how the